This literally just happened, and I'm using speech to text to tell you guys as I sit in my bathroom, waiting for my parents to answer so I can go back home. I just moved to Cape Cod. I live in a weird little house that I found in the quiet town of East Falmouth. The house is a little rundown, but after considering the fact that it's technically okay to live in and is a really good price, I was willing to put up with it. I've been up all night for the 4th night in a row talking to this girl I met online. Weird things have been happening to me since I started talking to her. See, I've always been one to dismiss a scary story as a coincidence or flat out made up. And of course, this girl is full of ghost stories. But there's something about her stories, something that feels wrong. I've never felt this way hearing them. It's 5 a.m. right now, and about 20 minutes ago, she told me she had to take a quick nap before school. This came after hours of ghost stories. She started sending me memes trying to lighten the mood after all the creepy stories, but I still felt sick to my stomach. She kept telling me she felt watched. And every time she said that, I started feeling like I was being watched too. She told me she kept seeing something out of the corner of her eye. And that happened to me too, just before or at the same time she said it. She then told me just before hanging up that she knew something was in the room with her. That's when I knew. There was something in the room with me. I tried to ignore it. She hung up, and earlier in the night, I had cracked open a seltzer water. Right after she hung up, the sound of the bubbles grew louder and louder until it was deafening. I was sitting in the guest room, and there's a curtain divider that splits the 2 beds. I started moving like crazy. I decided to run, but first I had to move the curtain. I had a feeling that when I moved the curtain, I would see whatever was there. I hesitated for a second, but when I opened the curtain, nothing. I felt a brief moment of relief. But then I ran toward the door, desperate to get the hell out of there. I ripped the door open, and there it was. It was not human. I don't know what it was. All I can describe it as is a figure made of shapes with a face. The features of the face were upside down, but the head wasn't. There's something in my house. I ran past it but had to push through it to get to the door. It felt like nothing and something at the same time. When I looked back, it was gone. I don't know if I should call the police. I don't know who to tell. They'll think I'm crazy. I told my parents, but they still haven't answered after I explained everything. What should I do? Late 1999, early 2000, Wake Forest, North Carolina. I was a kid, home alone one night. My mom was a single parent and I was just watching TV like any other evening. Maybe Cat Dog or whatever would be on around 8 or 9 p.m. on a weekday. I don't know what made me do it, but something inside me told me to peek out of my bedroom window. Just one of those moments where you can't explain it. I parted the blinds just a little and looked outside. That's when I saw it. A tall silhouette standing in the middle of the yard facing my bedroom window. And then, out of nowhere, someone took a picture of my bedroom window. I jumped back instantly. My heart was pounding in my chest. I felt like I wasn't supposed to see that, like I should turn off the lights and hide, or call my mom. But I was frozen. This was late 99 or early 2000, way before smartphones. If someone took a picture at night back then, it meant they had a physical camera with a flash. And that's what scared me the most. I didn't hear footsteps running away. No sound of a car pulling off. Just silence. To this day I have no idea. Who was out there? Why were they taking a picture of my window? Where did that photo go? Was I the only one they photographed? I'll never know. But just thinking about it still gives me chills. I was only 9 or 10 years old. Fast forward 16 years. I was around 26 or 27, living in Duncannon, Pennsylvania with my now late ex and his younger brother. We had 2 cats, and the place we lived in was over 100 years old, a house that had been divided into 3 apartments. How our apartment was set up. The front door was on a deck with stairs leading up to it. It had a deadbolt, and our cats liked to hang out in the small square area near it. Once you walked inside, there was a square space near the front door where the cats usually hung out. From there, a staircase led up to our apartment, passing by a high-up window, meaning we were technically on the 2nd or 3rd floor of the house. At the top of the stairs was a small hallway leading to the kitchen door, which only had an old-school latch instead of a secure lock. The kitchen opened into the living room, and another door in the living room led to a hallway with the bedroom and bathroom. This living room door could be locked, but the lock was old and stiff. The basement was separate. You had to go outside and around the back to access it. The incident. It was late at night and we were just hanging out in the living room playing music and talking. Nothing felt off or unusual. Then suddenly, the doorknob on the kitchen door started rattling. Art. Not just a small jiggle. Someone was shaking it violently like they were trying to break in. The three of us froze. At first, we thought someone had come up from the front door and was now rattling the kitchen door. We got up and started moving toward the sound, but that's when we realized the kitchen door was still latched. To get to the front door, we had to unlatch and open the kitchen door, meaning the sound couldn't have come from the front door first. The front door was still deadbolt. What we thought we heard, someone coming up and rattling the kitchen door, was impossible. My ex and his younger brother grabbed their guns and rushed down to check anyway. But when they got there, nothing. The front door was still locked. There was no one there. No footsteps. No sounds of someone running away. And here's the part that still messes me up. We were on the second, technically third, floor. There was no balcony. No fire escape. No way for anyone to even be at our window near that door. Even our cats were freaked out. Both of them ran under the couch and refused to come out. We just sat there in silence trying to process it. My ex, a gun owner not easily scared, was shaken. To this day I still don't know, or was it a person? Something paranormal? And why did we all hear it so clearly? I've never found an explanation for it, but whatever it was, I know what I heard. We don't talk about it, especially now that my ex has passed. It's never been mentioned again. I'm not generally someone who believes in the paranormal, but what I experienced at Eaton Tunnel in Wood County, West Virginia, with my friends definitely made me question everything. It was late, and after a few drinks and some smoke, we all thought, what the heck? Let's go check out a supposedly haunted tunnel in the middle of the night. Upon getting there, everything seemed fun at first. We had to park and walk down this dark road before finally arriving at the tunnel. As we entered, I realized just how dark it really was. Completely pitch black. Even with a flashlight, you could barely see anything. About halfway through, I felt it. A feeling I can't explain. My body felt like it was frozen in place, my hair standing on end, my heart pounding in my chest. I can't even describe it, but it felt like something evil was closing in, something bad was about to happen. I stopped walking and I noticed some of my friends had stopped too. I turned on my flashlight to see what was going on, and a few of my friends were frozen, almost in a trance-like state. One had even started crying silently, like they couldn't control it. Finally, one of my friends spoke up, "We need to leave." And without another word, we all sprinted out of that tunnel. I don't know what happened in those few moments, but we all experienced the same feeling of fear and danger. The car ride home was quiet at first, each of us processing what had just happened, until we eventually started joking about it, probably to hide the fear we were all still feeling. I've never felt anything like that before or since that night. I've even wondered if maybe there were a group of people waiting to hurt us, and our senses just went haywire. But whatever it was, I know what I felt that night in Eaton Tunnel. That place is evil. I've lived in my house for 5 years. It's an old place, built in the early 1900s, with all the charm and creaks you'd expect from a century-old home. The basement has always freaked me out a bit. It's cold, damp, and smells faintly of mildew. But I'd never paid it much attention beyond the occasional trip to store boxes or grab tools. Until last week. I was moving some old furniture when I noticed a draft. At first, I thought it was just the basement being drafty as usual, but then I realized it was coming from behind one of the shelves. The air was colder, almost icy. Curious, I pulled the shelf away from the wall, and that's when I saw it. A small wooden door, barely taller than a crawlspace hatch, covered in peeling paint. I stared at it for a long time. It wasn't on the house inspection report when I bought the place, and I had never noticed it before. It had no handle, just a keyhole. I should have stopped there. I should have walked away. But I didn't. Instead, I grabbed my toolbox, picked the lock, thank you YouTube tutorials, and swung the door open. Behind it was a narrow stone staircase spiraling down into darkness. The air that rushed out smelled wrong, damp, metallic, and faintly sweet like rotting fruit. Against every ounce of better judgment, I grabbed a flashlight and started descending. The steps felt endless. The farther I went, the more the walls seemed to close in. When I finally reached the bottom, I found myself in a small, circular chamber made of smooth stone. In the center was a well. It looked ancient, the edges worn smooth as if by centuries of use. Here's where it gets weird. As I shined my flashlight around, I noticed something scratched into the walls. Words. Over and over, the same phrase, "Do not look down." I backed away from the well, heart pounding. But then I heard it. A soft, wet sound like something shifting in the water. My flashlight flickered, and in the brief darkness, I swear I heard a whisper, faint like it was coming from miles below, "Help me." I should have run. I should have bolted back up the stairs and sealed the door forever. But something about that voice, it didn't sound threatening. It sounded desperate. Against my better judgment, I leaned over the well and aimed my flashlight down. The beam barely reached the water. It was black and still, reflecting nothing. But as I stared, the surface began to ripple. Slowly, something started to rise. At first, I thought it was a person. A head, pale and smooth, breaking the surface. Then I saw the eyes, round, lidless, and too large for its face. Its mouth was wide, filled with needle-like teeth, and it was smiling. The whisper came again, louder this time, "Help me." I don't remember running back up the stairs. I don't remember sealing the door or pushing the shelf back in place. But I must have, because when I came to, I was sitting on my kitchen floor, shaking, the basement door locked tight. Since then I've heard noises at night. Soft scratching, like something trying to find its way out. Last night, I found muddy footprints leading from the basement door to my bed. I haven't been back down there. I don't think I ever will. But the scratches are getting louder, and I can't help but notice they're starting to sound like words. Help me. If these stories send a chill down your spine, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more terrifying tales. You never know when the next horror story might be your own.